What's up, everybody? My name's Mike Sjogren, here with my co-host,
Emmanuel Pani.
We're part of a group of specialized real estate investors you've probably never heard of.
We didn't start with deep pockets or wealthy families, and we don't rely on 401ks, mutual funds, or traditional real estate investing.
In fact, many of us don't even own the properties that fund our freedom. If you ask the money experts out there, they'd say what we do is impossible, yet it's happening every single day.
It's happening through a new niche called short-term rentals.
We are Short-Term Rental Nation, and these are our secrets. All right, what is going on, STR Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Short-Term Rental Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Mike Sjogren, here as always with my main man and brother from another mother, Mr. Emmanuel Pani. What's going on, E?
My brother, good to see you. Good to see you. Dude, I was super, I love when we have guests on the shows and they leave or the interview is done and I just feel hyped. Right. We just had Drew on the show. So this is a double session for us. We just had Drew on the show and I'm like, because you always you always get wrapped up in your own fucking life. Right. And you always have to remind yourself to keep your headspace clean, keep your space clean. And you I know logically, in my brain, I'm you just need to stay grateful. You're life is good. And then there's that little thing that's man, I mean, the little voice, and having people that could have every reason to be fuck this. And they choose not to, but not just that. They not just choose not to, but they're absolutely thriving. And I'm good shit. That's why I listening to podcasts and why I like going to meetup groups and meeting people. Because to me, I'm there is nothing more inspiring than other humans. I mean, that's why I still cry. When I I'm the kind of guy that watches that TikTok, ESPN kind of reels of those really emotional moments, athletic moments. I sob every time, and I'm I catch myself. I'm what the fuck are you doing? Why are you crying? And I'm in bed on Saturday, scrolling. I'm the crying. I'm what is going on with you? But it's just I don't know. People inspiring, bro. And you just especially when you kind of feel in a certain kind of way, and you just get to be in the presence of somebody. You're dude, I would be a shit show in that situation. And you're cool.
It's funny because I always find, and I'm excited because the guest that we have on today inspires me. I've known him for a long time. He's just a great dude, super athletic dude. And I know he competes in some stuff, but I always notice for the people that do well and they thrive, when they have crazy bad stuff happen to them, it always catapults them forward into a new level instead of sucking them down. They may have setbacks. At some point we got to have my brother-in-law on here. So he's an Olympic runner. He's a sprinter. And when he was in high school, he had some weird muscular disease where he had to have one of his legs amputated from the knee down. And he spiraled bad for a couple of years. And then he pulled himself out. And now he's been competing in the Olympics for the last decade. I think next year will be his last go for it. He got bronze last time, but I think he wants to obviously go for the gold. But, those types of things where the initial sting can pull you down, but then it just propels you forward once you finally make that choice that I'm going to go for this, regardless.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's crazy though, because it's it's not a thing. I'm very very mindful of how not easy that is, right? And especially being an entrepreneur and doing this what we do, and the guy from Profit First was kind of talking about it. A lot of entrepreneurs go through the headspace that you need to do this long term and to actually grow a business and to actually create a business around you can be challenging. So having, I don't know, bro, it's just for me, it's the most kind of fascinating part about life is that mental arena and how it's all about perspective. Even reliving your experiences, if you change your perspective, you change your experience, you change your trauma, you change your story, you change everything, right? So it's really your perspective, no matter what happens or when it happens, when you choose to change whatever that narrative is, how life actually changes. So then just what is real? Reality is all interpretation, in a sense.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Maybe they don't have a whole rabbit hole. We'll do a solo episode on the Matrix. And we'll go down
hey,
that rabbit hole.
hey, we have some great friends that will come on, and it will be a very interesting conversation.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, for sure.
But
without further ado,
yeah, without further ado, we've got a good buddy of mine, Lucas Piper, coming on the show today. We met, I don't even know how many years ago, in a different mastermind group that E and I met through M1. And he was actually one of the first mastermind members way back in the day, like 2019. And now he owns 5-star vacation home rentals. He's got a combination of owned, arbitrage, and managed properties in Austin and San Antonio area in Texas. He's got 25 properties and will do over $2 million in revenue this year. Welcome to the show, Mr. Lucas Piper. What's up, brother?
Hey, guys. E&M, bad boys.
what's going on? Yeah.
Dude, I could just leave me in the breakout room and I could just listen to y'all talk this philosophy.
Just rant.
That was some good stuff there. And
that's the rant, bro. That's our old money spot. It's just a ranting. Yeah.
I love
good
hearing
though, bro.
about just talking about that connection now and just people's stories and that inspiration. And you said it best. It's like, I feel like the only way for me to do that is like do this kind of stuff, right? Because like I think my natural like mental state is like anxiety, fear, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like keep pushing, keep learning, keep connecting with people with stories, that inspire you. And it's that reminder like every day where it's just like, oh shit, life's pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
dude.
that's awesome.
So why don't you tell us about like kind of like from that point, like let's go back. Like let's go back to like what the last couple of years have been from like 2019 to now. And despite your sometimes anxiety that it's a good friend of mine. Like she's always right around the corner, right? Like what has kind of the journey been like?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah. So like Mike said, like, I don't even know the timeline either, dude. Like, but I know we were all in kind of M1 around the same time. And, around that time I was really just like, hey, I just want like a little side hustle, like I just want a little extra income. I can look back at my goals. I think I wanted to create like an extra $3,000, dollars a month in income. And that was it. And so, what was his name? Marco, or so someone that was doing like arbitrage, and Mike started doing some stuff. And like, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I got my first property, and kind of did a house hacking with that where I would travel, I'd rent it out. And that was doing pretty well. Then picked up an arbitrage deal. And then I got 2 more in San Antonio. So I had 4, and I think I was doing like 4,000, net per month on those. And I was like, dude, I'm good. This is what I wanted, that was the goal. And so I kind of just sat on that for a while. COVID hit, I lost 2 of them. And then that just gave me some time to think, and I was just like, what could this be if I really, put my mind in this? And, obviously I'd been following Mike along the way and just seeing him starting to crush it. And like, after he quit his job, just like that scale. And I'm like, well, what would that look like for me? So about a year and a half, kind of made that decision to kind of go all in and quit the job and kind of take this thing seriously. And some pretty cool things have kind of happened since then. So it's kind of been the journey. And I know the EU, we have like a lot of similar friends in GoBundance. And so I think we have like a lot of connections here.
Yeah. And that's awesome because like it kind of like we are in similar rooms, and it's kind of funny because it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, because I'm like, once you get in those rooms and you make these kind of friendships, you really have a hard time not having those kind of friends. Like once you know the kind of friendships that are available to support the kind of life that you want to have, it's very difficult for you to go backwards to not having those friends, right? So to me, I'm like, I really like, I joke about all the time, but to me, a mastermind is I'm kind of paying for the privilege of having certain kind of friends, in addition to being part of a room. But I'm like, I am kind of paying for my friends, right?
Yeah.
And what's funny with GoBundance is that like anytime you're like, oh, I'm leveling up, you talk to somebody else that's a little bit higher than you, and they're really leveling up, and you're just like, but it's not from a place of like kind of fear and scarcity. It's very much more from a place of like everything is possible, and there's a bunch of great people eating here that you can just raise your hand and be like, hey, who knows this? And everybody's like, come meet me. Like people like rushing to like help.
I remember just on that point, because I think this is important for a lot of the new folks, because I remember in M1, I got put in an accountability group with Nick Spone, who we've had on the show, Ian Lobus now, who runs Men on Purpose, Ariel Eve, Chris Crawford, a bunch of these guys, and they were all millionaires and multimillionaires at the time, and I was not. And I remember I had this like inflection point because I was super insecure about it, and I kind of felt like less than. And I remember this point, and I don't know what triggered it, but I was like, dude, you're either going to accept this and go for it and just go for it, or you're going to leave. Like there was just this, I don't remember exactly what triggered it, but I vividly remember having this like mental discussion with myself of like, dude, stop playing small like you're less than them and rise to the occasion. And I feel like that little mental shift, it was like, whoop. And I just started to level up. And like when you get in those rooms, it can be tempting to play the little guy or the little girl because you feel like insecure around it.
Yeah.
But once you accept that you're no different from them, and if they're doing it and they want to help you do it, like you just got to be vulnerable and then just go for it.
Yeah.
Like it's
and that's a lot of ego stuff there too, right? Where it's like you're not feeling good, you know, but it's like a conversation comes up and you're like, I don't understand this. And you can either like let that like ego destroy you, or you're like, yeah, I'm just going to sit here because I don't want to sound like an idiot. Or it's like, I have this opportunity with these 5 or 6 people that are absolutely crushing it, and I can ask for the solution. Right. And like, I think that's so big because you can be in those rooms and still have enough ego where you're like, yeah, you know, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to take the advice, or I'm too scared to like admit that I need help here. So I think that's such a cool point that you made, and that decision that you made then of like, what am I going to do here? You know, like, am I going to bury myself in the sand, or am I going to play with the big boys?
Yeah.
No, and I mean, history has kind of showed us how that choice went, so that's good.
Exactly.
So for you to aren't like, so you in COVID, you had 4, you go down to 2, and then since COVID, I know that seems like it was yesterday, but like this last like 18 months, 2 years, I don't even know how long it's been since fucking COVID
3
happened,
years
but
now, actually.
3 years. Wow. You went to 25, so there's been a big growth there. Kind of talk to us about like what that looked like. What is your team also? Because I assume you look way too tan and way too happy to be doing this all by yourself.
He's way too
So
for those
yeah,
jobs.
yeah, like, and I mean, like he's like, he just looks so peaceful and so like relaxed.
Texting
And, like,
over here.
no,
like,
that's what I mean. Like you don't have the like side eye that's going to the corner of the screen to like look at the notifications that are coming through. So like, what's the dream team like?
I'm well rested until our newborn in August. So.
Oh yes.
So yeah, so really kind of made that decision. You know, as COVID was kind of happening, and I was like, all right, let's do it. And so it was kind of slow. I needed the fire, man. I really needed to leave my job to light the fire. Like, I wish I could say like, while I was doing it, while I had like the income from my job, I was like building and building. But I always had this weird like guilt thing. Like if I was working on my own company, you know, like I wouldn't be doing enough for my job. And so I guess 2 Junes ago now is when I left the W9. That's when really things, W2. And that's when things really took off. So I was back up to 4 at that time. I had like 1 more arbitrage property. And you know, I started kind of getting more active in the Airbnb community here in Austin, kind of some of the Facebook groups. And I saw someone post that they needed a property manager. And so anyways, I got a package of 5 properties. I took a terrible deal, you know, like they gave me $3,500 to manage 5 properties. But it was what I needed to leave my job, you know? And so I think that put me right at like $7,500 a month. And I was like, this feels great. I feel confident leaving my job with this much coming in. And so I took that package, quit my job, you know, the next month. And since then, yeah, the scouting's been really fun, and it's been, I'm sure as most people talk about in here, like business is hard, right? So there's been a lot of this, and then there's been a lot of this, and just like learning and messing up. And so that package of 5 was a perfect example where I'm like, and I'm in it, and I'm all of a sudden I'm like, damn, dude, like these properties are bringing in like the 3 big ones are bringing in like 25K per month.
I got fucked over. Big time.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
making like 7% management fee, dude. But it was like, again, like I don't regret that decision because for me, I got to leave my job, and I got some of the nicest properties in Austin right downtown in my portfolio for a little bit. So that helped me attract other properties, right? So there's no regrets there. Great people, but like eventually I had to fire them. Things weren't working out. There were 6 owners. They would walk the property every time, after our cleaners were there. It was like I went from having 1 bad cost at my W-2 to having 6 of them. It wasn't a good fit,
Bro, that sounds
miserable.
Yeah, that sounds like my worst nightmare. But what's really interesting to me there is like the reality of like I remember those clients. Like I remember those clients where you're in that sweet spot of like you really don't what is I at the time for me, I really didn't think that being picky and having my kind of like my criteria was gonna be the way to like actually grow. And so I compromised on that. Not believing that like I could get what I want when I want, but like you said, there was no better experience because now I'm like, I am so peculiar with the stuff that we get called on that I'm the first person to be like, we're looking for a property manager. I'm like, well, it depends on what kind of property you have because we may not be your people. But until you get there, you can't do it. So did you try to renegotiate them to have a normal management fee and then they told you no, or did you just were like,
so I renegotiated. I went up to $5,500 a month, which was probably like a 13% management fee. But yeah, it was more of the other issues that I talked about that became, more serious, where I was just like, I ended up having to, it was such a high maintenance kind of properties that I had to hire someone just for those. So I hired someone for like 20 hours a week that would just be there and like organizing the storage room, like doing this, like checking after the cleaners. Cause it was just like every nitpick deal from the owners. So that's ended up like why it was canceled, not necessarily the rate. But it's funny because like, I honestly think that if I was in the same position, I would do the same exact thing. Like it was such good experience, like take that many properties on, like high-end properties, downtown Austin, like, really get thrown into the mixer, have owners with these super high expectations. So I'm like, now I know like, what owners expect, or at least high maintenance ones, so I can stay away from them. One, or at least like now our QC is so good that like we're able to make owners happy. So I mean, it was such a valuable learning experience and let me leave my job. So I'm so grateful for that, and I would do the exact same thing. And honestly, if someone else was in the same position and they were having a hard time like building their portfolio and really wanted like to get into luxury, I would be like, just take it. Put it on your website, use it as marketing, and then renegotiate. Or if it doesn't work out, then leave. But you brought on 5 properties because you took on these ones too, So
yeah, that's such a great point.
So then it was like so at that point, I think I was up to like 15 or 16. I got rid of the 5, kind of came back down to 10. I think I remember like talking to Mike at the time, and I was like, yeah, I'm like redoing stuff, and since then, like been a lot more picky on who we're bringing on, what we're bringing on. And so that's why, at 26 properties, we'll do over 2.5 this year. I mean, that's pretty hefty load, for only 25. So it's not that all of our properties are like in the lugs, but it's very specific of like, because we even have some midterm ones, right? But it's like if it's midterm, if it's easy and the owner's awesome, and I know we're just going to get people in there back to back, I'm like, sure, easy, let's take it on. So, we have different criteria. It's not like we're only doing high end luxury, maybe at some point, but we probably at this point I get about 10 to 15 properties sent my way a month to manage. And we're usually saying yes to about 2 to 3 of those. So that's kind of, what it looks like from how many deals we're seeing and asked to manage to what we're saying yes to. So,
And where are those coming from? Just out of curiosity.
yeah. So at this point, I've never done any marketing in terms of, paid ads or anything like that. So everything has been organic. Definitely GoBundance has helped there. But mostly it's been my presence on Facebook. So I created a Austin group. Austin STR investors. So I lead a meetup, every month here where we have 20 to 30 kind of hosts come, and I just bring value for free. Like, I'm just like, hey, here's my story. Here's what I do. And so I'm kind of gotten known as the expert kind of, within that realm. And so I get a lot that way. There's some other bigger ones that I'm a moderator for that have, 5,000 or 6,000 people in Austin. A lot of owners there kind of looking for management. Real estate agents are
money
so valuable. Like, it's just crazy. Like, you get in with some luxury real estate agents, it's like, no, yeah, I've had some really cool things happen in the last few months. Like 6 months ago, there's a house, like a $2.1 million house sitting on the market. And one of my agent friends, approached an agent for me and was just like, hey, like, do you want to Airbnb this thing and like make some money? And they're like, yeah, because we're spending like $15,000 a month right now. And so, they had brought it down from 2.1 all the way to 1.4, right? Over like a 6-month span of trying to sell. Like, they're getting hits at like 1.2, 1.1. So,
I mean, once you smell blood in the water, bro.
100%. Everyone was just
like 900 cash. And people be like, what do you mean? Yeah, they're like, no, seriously, 900 cash, no contingencies. I'm like, bro, it's no, but honestly, it's a good offer. 900 cash. I'm like, dude, it's not fucking happening. Like, it's just
that's what they were hearing all day. And so, we were able to get that place furnished, get it up and running. Again, luxury spot, right? So that one, is doing 18,000 a month for them.
I was going to say, you're definitely clearing the 15 for them.
For sure. And then the cool thing is, like, for them, not necessarily for me, but it's great, is like, they had a buyer come that was like at 1.2, and then he went 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. And so they finally sold. So that property is done in like middle of July. But like, I'm so happy for them, dude, because they were drowning. Like, they were, I don't know what they were going to do, honestly.
We're still going to do that more. I would love to pay to spend a night at the house that I have under contract right now and just test everything. Like, I'd be more
and it's an interesting concept. It's funny because, like, I love that idea as a management company and somebody that has my management hat more often than any other hat. For me, is a bunch of like logistical issues, right? Because I'm like, we're not investing all of our time setting this thing up to then you have it under contract in thing. But also the market is kind of changing quite a bit. And especially if you're in the luxury market, time of market is historically longer. So it does make sense. And to me, it also brings up the fact that it's like, dude, realtors are such a great avenue of, because the majority of realtors are kind of people pleasers. And I'm saying because I am a realtor as well, so I can insult my own kind. So we're all people pleasers, and we're all trying to like make our client, like help our clients, right, in any way, shape, or form. And one of my favorite conversations is to have with people that have vacation homes in Florida. And it's like, this is an old client of mine that bought the house in 2010, and they have the cost of the house has just gotten so much that they have to rent it. And I know I'm like, if I go in there, I'm like, how much is your mortgage? Most likely they have a low rate mortgage. I'm like, dude, I'm going to make this fun for you. Like, I'm going to give you this vacation home back to you, not in a way that just you have time to come and enjoy it and it's not bleeding you money, but it's also going to make you money. Then if you want a different vacation home, you can buy it, or if you want to upgrade this one, you can do so. And so it's really understanding. And like, if you come from that place, and a realtor hears you talk like that to their clients, that's how I get a lot of my referrals. It's just like, dude, this guy cares. Just go talk to him. He'll help you figure it out. And those are my favorite people now. Like, if I find somebody that's owned a house for a little while and they're willing to like spend money to like upgrade it,
yeah,
I'm like, dude, you guys are gonna make so much fucking, like, you have 25 years left on your mortgage at 2.9%. Just shut up. Just give me the house. Just sign here. Give me the house. Just walk away. Like, I'm having like I'm like, just give it to me. Like, give us a couple months. Like, we'll make you more money than you've ever dreamed of just in season.
Yeah, and I
guys
think
have a house.
cool, you know, when you look at that I mean, there's many avenues in real estate, but like, I really like the short-term stuff because I just feel good about what I do, like providing experiences for families. But then from that side, like owners, you know, like I was just talking to someone yesterday at a meetup. There's a really, really, really high-end luxury rental company here in Austin, and they go to people with, you know, $5 to $15 million houses and just say, hey, we might not rent it out at all. But like, if we do, we'll get top dollar on this. We'll have you leave your house and we'll do everything for you. Super high end concierge style, 35% fee. So this person, they hit them up and they're like, hey, so we need your house for 3 months. Elon Musk and his entire team wants to rent it for us. So they're building like the Tesla factory here. $370,000, 3 months. For their entire just like estate there, and it's like all of their kids' college funds, you know, like, and so that's extreme example, right? But like all of our owners, it's like you have this extra house with extra money. It's going to college tuition. It's going to other family vacations. Like it can be life changing for the owners, like as they're managing these properties. And I think we don't talk about that enough. And I think it's so powerful.
Yeah. I think that is really like the most important thing as a manager or as an agent for you to understand in order to like really like what are you like, who is your avatar, right? And we talk a lot about avatar on our show in terms of like who is your guest avatar, but it's the same thing for your owner. Like, does your owner come to your website? Because there's a lot of people not talking about like direct booking websites and everything else. Fucking great, amazing. Shout out to Mark Simpson. But there is this element of like what's happening next. I'm like, you have a direct booking website, great. You have a property management link to it, great. What's the copy on the property management side of things? Or is all your effort on understanding and speaking to your guests and to the avatar just fall on your direct booking site for the properties? But like, then what about here? Because you can have a beautiful website on the management side, but if you're not speaking to anybody, it's going back to the same thing. You don't have, if we look at it like a house, you don't have a design that speaks to anybody. You don't have a clear avatar that speaks to anybody. You're not trying to sell a real experience. I might have a much shittier website that's just a couple lines of copy, but I know what I'm selling and I know what my avatar is. So the moment you come to my site and you read my copy, you're like, holy shit, that's us. That's what we want. You know what I mean? And to me, especially like if you want to grow a management company, you need to be in the habit of marketing to your owners just as much as your guests. Because at the end of the day, like, the properties make money, but the owners make you more money.
Yeah.
Especially luxury owners. Because luxury owners are the same way. Like, they want to be taken care of. So the moment they realize that you take care of them and their friends and their people and their guests and their home, you're 1 or 2 relationships away from having a completely different business.
Well said.
You know? Completely different business.
I'm curious now, because I watched you go through this where you were like comfortable at that certain point, and then all of a sudden I watched you just explode.
Yeah.
Now that you've gotten to the level that you're at, well, where are you going now? Like, are you looking?
I knew you were going to ask this, Mike. I knew you were going to ask this. So it's a great question, man. And I think about this all the time, and I try to do it, you know, vivid vision style, like the whole works. And, you know, really try to just think about my family and what that looks like. And so here it is. For me, what I see happening in the company is about 40 managed properties, possibly upwards of 50, probably more like 40 though, that are luxury, high end, great owners, great houses, easy does it. And then us owning about 10 to 15 high end luxury properties that are getting managed under that same umbrella. With me working, 5 to 8 hours a week.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
That's pretty much, if those things work exactly like that, it would pretty much be like $500,000 from both of those pockets per year. So it'd be, probably 800 to 1.1, just depending on what happens in this STR world and where the rates go and how high end those properties are that we're able to acquire. So that's kind of where I have it down. Like, I've thought a lot about like just crushing it, taking on properties, building it up, selling it. And I think it's amazing. I don't know. It's just not there for me. Like, I just don't have that desire. I've seen how many issues can arise with each owner we bring on. I see how many issues can arise with each home. And for me, it's just, I'd rather have just that quality. There's a sense of it that's just the sexiness of it. Of course, they're fun. They're fun to post and this like that. But also, like, you guys talk about it all the time. It's like they're easier. They're easier in the long run. The guests we get, the owners we get, like it's typically now investors we're talking about instead of people who own one home, who it's like everything is in this one thing. This last month I was just on the phone with an owner and it was like, I don't know, these towels are getting expensive. And it's like, I want to hear about towels. I want to hear about towels, Mike. You know what I mean? And so how can we continue to drop those properties off and keep adding these properties with better owners, better houses, and really just have this badass portfolio where people know, like he was saying, it's like people know where to go because this is what Lucas takes on. And now, like a lot of times, like those agents, they know which ones to send me. Like they're not sending me properties 30 miles north, in a suburb that's going to do $4,000 a month, like every other property in the area. Because I've said no 30 times. But as soon as they find that property that's in a state, that has the pool and the taking one on right now, it has a pickleball court. It's like they're calling Lucas because that's what I want. And that's what I feel like we do really well with. And so, you're manifesting that shit and it starts to happen. It's beautiful when it does.
I don't think enough people realize too. Sorry. Yeah. He said something that I wanted to catch because this is a benefit that you don't realize at the beginning, but when you're building up the management business, as you build your own portfolio of real estate that you own, you can just let your own management company run it. Right. So like I look less and less now. I want to say, this is going to come across the wrong way, but I want to say it anyway. I care less and less about how much money the co-hosting business makes because my portfolio is completely flipped to like ownership. And now I just look at it as I have free in-house management that's basically getting paid for by the management company. That's it. Right? Like now I was doing the math the other day. We own 72 out of our 101 units. So like before it went from owning one out of, 20 something. To then it just slowly started to flip. But that's a huge perk, man. When you can control that like in-house and you just like, it's not costing you money. That's when you really, for me, the game is always like, okay, I have this service business that creates cash flow to fund the assets that give you the true freedom. And then your team is what gives you the true time freedom. And not enough people talk about that because I don't care how much real estate you own. If you don't have the right people, AI is great and all this sexy stuff is cool, but you will not have true time freedom until you have a rock star team of human beings that are running your day-to-day for you, period. You don't date anybody on that. Like it's not
100%. Yeah.
Got that clip right there and put it out to the world.
I'm reading Clockwork right now, and that's really much what he talks about there, right? Like there's an element of like decision kind of stage and the delegating stage. And I think a lot of people that have a lot of real estate are still very much in the decision kind of stage. So they feel like they have a team around them, but the team is not either well trained enough, smart enough, good enough to actually take off the thing off your plate. And until you have a team that is fully delegated, that actually takes care of something beginning to end, I would argue, on top of what you just said, that there's no fucking freedom, right? Because you're always there to check the decisions or make the decisions. What are we doing? The other thing that I wanted to talk about that I loved about Lucas, that I want people to just realize, it's how clear his answer was in terms of like, where are you going? And to me, like, that is the single biggest way that I've noticed I can see where people are gonna go. It's how well they answer that question and how quickly. And that's one of my favorite questions. I ask people, because I fucking hate so what do you do when I'm meeting somebody, right? And like, oh, what's your story? Like, I hate that. So my new question that I ask people is, if money wasn't an issue, time wasn't an issue, what is your perfect day? Not your dream day. Like your perfect, like if it's a perfectly executed day, what does that look like? Tell me about that day. And first of all, how fucking difficult it is for people to tell you.
Yeah.
So second, how ridiculous some of the things are. You're like, my perfect day is always spend time with my family and staying with my mom. I was like, this is your everyday life. This is what you would do in your everyday life. They're like, oh no. I'm like, okay, so what is your perfect day?
Yeah.
Like if life was on your terms every day, how would your life be?
Yeah.
And like mine is so detailed that like I can tell you from the moment I wake up in the morning, it's the entire day. The entire day.
I love that, man.
You know?
Yeah. So I mean, I guess I'll start with the morning, because I mean, routine for me has been, is one of the most important things. I find, when we talked about anxiety, if we talk about stress, if we talk about, for me, addiction, all of that stuff can be, it gets very out of control if I'm not centered. So, that looks like for me, meditation, reading, checking in with my accountability buddies, getting outside for at least 10, 15 minutes, lemon water, just the basics to start the day. Perfect day would be, really, getting that walk in, getting something, in the morning that gets me active. Probably having some sort of call with someone I love to kick off the day, get some connection. I'm an extrovert, so that charges me up. Working for a few hours then in that morning to, do some bigger picture stuff and work some business stuff. And I think we can all say, like, we love working on our businesses. Like, that's not something that we want to stop, because it's like, it's great, and so I'd work for a few hours, and then I'd probably shut the laptop and go to the gym, get a killer workout in, get some fresh juice, probably sit by the pool for a little bit, or go to Barton Springs, take a swim, and then do some recovery stuff, probably help someone, get out of myself for a little while and think about others, for about an hour, and then spend time with my wife, man, and then hopefully kid.
Like, isn't that perfect? Like, that's a fucking perfect day. Like, you know what I mean? So like, to me, like, that's what's like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what's important. It's just like plan the work the plan, and then it's just like literally like have your perfect day, and then the goal every day is just to get closer and closer to the perfect day every day. You know what I mean? And like that's you know what I mean? Like that's all of it. And awesome. Some days don't look like that, but that's that's not the point. Okay, Mikey.
I know we're getting short on time here. So before we get to the last question, I actually want to pull up this comment. So we got a comment here from Jeremy, who said, Lucas is the man. He mentored me to where I am today with 4 co-hosts indoors. So
that's awesome. I didn't know we could bring up the comments like that. That's super cool.
Yep.
That's awesome. Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah.
So again, awesome. Dude, I want to thank you for coming on here, but also just like, thank you for being a friend. And like, you're somebody that I've just watched and known over the years. Just like be very intentional. Like he was talking about, like, very introspective and honest with yourself about like, this is what I want to do. And I'm not competing with anybody else. Like, this is true to me and I'm going to go for it and make it happen. And you've executed on that over and over and over again. And I freaking love that about you, dude. So kudos to you. And where can folks learn more about you and your management services and everything that you got going on?
Yeah, thanks for saying that too, man. You've been a big part of the journey. You guys are awesome. Like, it's intimidating. Come on, you guys have had so many amazing stories on here. So really cool. And yeah, I think, Mike, I believe I was your first student. I mean, because I was pre class. I mean, you ran everything through me. So
Yeah.
I haven't gotten
It
any
was like the beta test.
on that.
You,
I could wait.
you
for the
ran this
test.
trip from the back of your car. I had to meet you in the parking lot in fucking Boston in the winter.
No, but I appreciate that, and it's been awesome to see you guys do what you're doing with your community. Really cool. People can find me, IG, 5-star VHR. Our website is www.5starvhr.com. So find me at any of those. Would love to connect with people. IG is a great spot where I can just message back and forth with people. Facebook is great. I'm in all the communities with Mike, so reach out there too. And man, it's been awesome hanging out with you guys today. Super fun.
Absolutely, man. E, you want to ask it?
Oh shit, yeah. So the last question we ask every guest, as you know, is what is your number one secret for success in short-term rentals? I always get so excited when I get to answer. I ask the question. I'm like, I'm gonna forget what the question is. Like fucking 155 episodes.
You gotta say it louder and prouder than that, E.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You gotta
Come on, tell us. Give us the juice.
number one secret. Yeah, I think where we started this show off is a great place, of what you were saying. And so keep surrounding yourself with those people that inspire you, and that make you grow and make you have introspection in your life. I don't know if that was a Rock Thomas quote or not, where he's like, the sports and weather friends. It's at some point that I'm actually okay with those friends too. But if that's all you got, I don't think you're going to go where you want to go. And so pay to play sometimes, get in the right rooms and surround yourself, especially if I'm talking to men, with men that are okay being vulnerable. They're okay sharing their failures with you, and then are okay sharing their secrets with you too, which is why I love like the GoBundance communities and things like that, where people are okay giving that stuff away. So that's my tip.
Love it, dude. Love it. Well, Lucas, thanks again for coming on here, brother. I really appreciate you.
Pleasure.
For listeners out there, this was a good one, man. It's a good one to get you jacked up and really get you to start thinking about what the hell do you want to do with yourself, and why are you here? What are you going after, and create some clarity. So appreciate you guys as always. Have an amazing week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Ciao, guys.
Hey, STR Nation, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. And in the comments, let us know what topics you want us to cover on upcoming episodes, and we'll make sure to get that in the books for you. And if you really want to learn how to launch, automate, and scale your short-term rental business, if you want to go deeper, then check out our free masterclass at strsecrets.com.